Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Zero number 265A. Here is that threshold. This is a fairly unusual threshold only because its roll is reversed. It's a rabbeted threshold, but generally you'll see the front or the leading edge, the large edge of that threshold being the wider of the two sides. Okay, you usually see this about over here, and then that would be where the door is going to swing over. This might be appropriate for an in-swinging door. Certainly might be appropriate for an out-swinging door as well. It really is determined best by, obviously, where does the frame come into play with all of these dimensions? I could see this being a very elegant application for an out-swinging door with a hollow metal frame, an aluminum storefront frame. You know, if my frame is going to sit over basically in this area, yeah, sure, I'd want my door to be out here and swing out. If this happened to be an in-swing application, same sort of concern. Whether it be in-swing or out-swing, you really have the same sort of possibilities to solve the problem with this large area here. It's called a rabbeted threshold. Rabbeted because of the profile here, where it might emulate a rabbet type threshold. We would call it a bump up threshold, and a bump up is just an easy way to remember the door is going to bump up against this. You might also call this a latch track threshold if you were to use or utilize this profile of the aluminum threshold to act as the bottom strike of your Pullman latch from a surface vertical rod exit device. You might be able to get multiple functions out of this. Okay, latch track, bump up, rabbeted threshold. So it could be conducive for lots of applications where you'll end up using it. You know, nothing will disqualify the possibility of using this to solve your problem other than non-compatibility. This is the 265. That means that this is a rabbeted style threshold that matches the dimensional properties of the image seen down below. Five-inch wide. 5/8 overall height. Down over here where the door is going to reside, that's going to be a 1/4 inch. And that matches what the factory says. 1/4 inch over here, 5/8 overall height. That might work out really well for hollow metal applications, provided that you have a undercut that's other than industry standard. Industry standard for hollow metal is going to be a 3/4 inch undercut. I detailed a job earlier today where they had a 1/4 inch rise threshold and said to the contractor, why don't we run the doors a little bit longer than standard and use up some of that gap? So rather than a 3/4 inch undercut, we went with a 1/2 inch undercut. You can custom order those doors and run that undercut long. No problem at all. I would encourage that. Now, people will buy this for a couple of reasons. Number one, they've got an existing standard 3/4 inch undercut, but something's happened. The concrete was poured too high. It's not level, and they need less thickness to get their threshold underneath the door. Or you're just solving a problem that you want this height to be the case. This is non-handicap compliant. This would not meet the requirements of overall height, nor the rise over run formula to calculate that. So this is not handicap compliant. Let's take a look at the insert that's here. Now, that insert is a piece of neoprene with this flap that's on the outside. And I'm a fan of Zero because of the incredible amount of engineering that went into the product line originally. Most people are just going to have that bubble shape. Well, Zero is going to give you that extra flap. It does a couple of things, in my opinion. Obviously gives you some better surface area, but also gives you the ability to stand proud off the face of the seal, meaning you might have a condition where the door is not hung true in the frame and then it's actually kicked in a little bit, so that when you close the door, you're getting substantial binding underneath the door to the face of the bump up. Well, if you pinch that back a little bit, but you want the threshold needs to be, of course, straight in the opening, the fact that your flap hangs out a little bit will permit you to get away with that extra 3/16 of an inch or so projection to make some contact. So you can smash it down in the area that you need, but then it'll stand out a little bit for you because of that flap. Bottom line is, it's a smarter design. It just is. Dimensionally, the question that I get all the time is, what's the dimension on the Rabbit side? And they've got that at 1 3/4. So it's supposed to be 1 3/4 to the face of the insert. You can kind of see that if we push that flap back, that's exactly where it would be. From the, then we're going to, let's just say from the back of the extrusion itself, you've got about 3 inch coming to the back of it. Okay. Now, this is in the A finish, which by 0 means mill aluminum finish. Okay. The other finishes that this may be available in, let's take a look. $265. Okay, they're going to do this in mill aluminum finish, and I'm looking at the price book. Black anodized. Black is the new vogue color. I love it. I think it looks great. D for dark bronze, and then G for gold anodized. So you can do this threshold in those different finishes. Okay, it's a very smart threshold. Nice thick extrusion. Another thing that I like a lot about it is when we look at the bottom of it, these ridges, these serrations that are here. That to me is a hallmark of a well-engineered threshold. Why is that? Well, a threshold takes a lot of force, stepping over it, running two-wheel handcarts over it, etc. But with a bump-up threshold, what do you also have? You've got this, but now you've got this. Those serrations, in my opinion, are going to help keep that threshold in place as it bites down into the concrete once you've installed it. Standard fasteners are included. I would, only use those if that's what I was told to do or forced to do. I would be looking for machine screws and lead anchors, which Zero can very easily supply. It's an extra charge, but we can enter that. I would want machine screws and lead anchors if possible. Otherwise, they do at least get you started with some fasteners. Listed in the site in lots of different lengths. Currently, everything from 2 foot to 8 foot. You can have any length that you want, realistically, probably up to about 16.5 feet. We just don't have that material listed because the cost to ship has been historically prohibitive when it's long like that. But be mindful. If you have need for a custom length, let us know. Order the next longest piece or pieces and simply indicate in the comment field the net length that you'd like for us to cut the material back to. We'll be happy to provide that. Not only will you get a factory edge on the aluminum, but you'll get those holes drilled and countersunk, not only at the proper distance from the edge, but the proper center to center, working its way down the opening. Okay. Nice quality product. There is a link below this video to the a document called installation. That would probably be a simple document, which is probably the one that's included here, that says measure. So yeah, measure, cut to length, attach, enjoy, simple installation instructions. But then there's a link to a document called product brochure that will allow you to review the 265 against its sister products. And if you're looking for a threshold like this, you probably want to look at that 2-page document, because there are variations on the bump-up style threshold that you might be happy to see. That reference to the latch track principle with the Pullman latch is shown on that first page, and that 560 sort of profile. The reason that it's shown in the 560 as a bump-up style is because you've got that standard height for typical 3/4 inch undercut on hollow metal. If you're going to be doing a latch track principle on these shorter thresholds, just be mindful you've got a different dimension that you're going to have to carry that bottom rod down to when you're installing all of it. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Zero products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the Zero? This is their part number 265A. Rabbeted style threshold or any other Zero product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.